Hello, seventh grade. We are in chapter 12 of Numbers today, and we're going to see in chapter 12 some more ugliness in the human heart. We have the sister of Moses, Miriam, the one who rescued him in the basket when he was a baby, has become very influential, probably a prophetess of whatever type. She is very influential in the community. Everybody knows her. She's Moses' sister, and she feels that she has the right to speak when she wishes to. And so Moses is going to marry a black lady. And she is not pleased. Miriam is not pleased and says she's not. And immediately God rebukes her and gives her leprosy. So we're going to see that ugliness like racism and just to stick your nose in the air and be able to judge other people. That's something that is all the time. Everybody has done that in every generation, every century. You're going to see that. You're going to see people that have been just totally abused, and others that think that they know enough to judge. So God is the one that judged. So it's a short, sad chapter. So welcome to today's short, sad chapter. Numbers chapter 12. Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses. Aaron's involved. Okay, remember, Aaron is the chief priest, but Aaron has already shown a lack of judgment. He's the one that made the golden calf. So somehow Aaron is involved, and he sides with Miriam here. So they spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom she had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. Okay, so a Cushite woman. So the Ethiopians were in the Egyptian time known as Nubians, and they were black, just the very dark, polished black skin, not the Middle Eastern hue that you would have among the Semites, among the Hebrews. So the very darker complected person, and Moses married her. Now this is again ancient days, and you have more than one wife, and no, don't get into that, I hope. Verse 2. And they said, Hath not the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not also spoken by us? And the Lord heard it. Okay, not only do they think that they have the right to speak against Moses and his wife, but they feel that somehow God is speaking through them too, and that they should have more prominence. Okay, that Moses is being too prominent and they are getting left out. So they're close enough to what they think of as power that they want more of it. Okay, so they've got some bad intents in their heart. Verse 3. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men that were upon the face of the earth. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and to Aaron and to Miriam, Come ye three out to the tabernacle of congregation. And the three came out. Okay, so they're going to be taken to the woodshed. All three. God spoke directly, audibly, and all three were to come to the tent right now. Come to the principal's office. So verse 5. And the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known to him in a vision, and he will speak to him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house, with whom I speak mouth to mouth. So he said, if I call out a prophet, I will allow him to hear things and see things and visit him in dreams. But Moses is not like these other prophets that are going to be in Israel, not like Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel. These prophets, God did not directly speak to in an audible voice. God came down in a cloud of glory and spoke to Moses as someone talks to their friend. So Moses was unique, and he is telling these people that Moses is above all the prophets in terms of what God is allowing himself. He's basically, God is making himself low and is going to speak to him directly, face to face, as it were. Okay? With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of the Lord he shall behold. He is actually going to see what he sees as me. Of course, God cannot be seen. He's an invisible spirit. He can't be seen. But Moses is not talking to an avatar, but he is talking to what he sees as God. And God speaks to him directly, to where he hears and he speaks and God hears. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant? Interesting. You think that because he is your brother, he's your little brother, that you have the right to speak against him when he is serving me. You are despising me. You're not despising Moses. Yes, you are despising Moses, but you're speaking against me, and you have to be careful because you're despising your God. Okay, I'll tell you if I speak to you. You'll know. You'll know if I speak to you. You don't have to be worrying about it, and you don't have to be jealous of something where someone else is being used. You try to support them in whatever way that you can. Anything that they're doing towards the Lord's business, you assist them as you're capable, but you do not get jealous of them, because you might just have to hold what Moses is holding, and that's impossible. Only Moses couldn't even handle it. So verse 9, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. Okay, why would you dare speak against my servant? So suddenly he's not your brother. He's my servant. You're speaking against my servant. God is very capable of standing up for his own. And for you to abuse God's servants, I guess it seems like you can do it for a while, but God will not allow it. God will see to it that his servants are cleared, and God will protect them. Okay? How dare you, thinking that you're right with me, speak against my servant? Because obviously it's showing you that you are not right with me at all. Aaron said to Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, whereof we done foolishly, and whereof we sinned. So Aaron immediately recognizes that there's fault lying in themselves and asks Moses to forgive them. Well, I'm sorry, I missed the main verse. Main verse is 12. So let me go 9. The anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed off the tabernacle, and beheld, Miriam was leprous, as white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. All right. Now, God's basically saying, oh, you like white women? So the Ethiopian woman somehow is lower than you? Somehow you want to be white? You really want to be white? Okay, I'll make you white. And she was white as snow. Her skin had bleached down to absolute paper white, which is frightening if anybody would ever see someone that was completely white. But she was full of leprosy. Okay, God was like, you want to be white? I'll make you white. Okay, really? You want to speak out? Really? You have the audacity to speak against God's servants? Really? You think you're going to get away with it? No, you're not. And she was white as snow. Immediately, Aaron, who was not punished, interesting, made me question. I scratched my head about this one. Why wasn't, he was involved. Why wasn't he punished? Maybe it was mostly her, and maybe he's just a empty head or whatever, and he just sided with her. But somehow she was struck with leprosy, and Aaron was not. Aaron immediately recognizes their sin, including his own, begs for forgiveness from Moses. And then Aaron speaking in 12, let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when she comes out of her mother's womb. Let her be like a stillborn baby. And Moses cried unto the Lord, said, heal her now, O God, I beseech thee. And the Lord said to Moses, if her father had but spit in her face, would she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received in again. Okay, now that's a cultural thing. The father had complete control in the family, and if the father would say a word, it was enough for them to have to be away from the family for a week. So basically, go to your room. And he said, she has offended me. She's offended God. Like, you don't even know who I am, and she's offended me. And yes, I will heal her, but she's going to stay outside of the camp for 7 days. And Miriam was shut outside the camp 7 days, and the people did not journey until Miriam was brought in again. And afterwards, the people removed from Hazoth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran. So God did heal her, but she had to sit and think about what she did wrong. See, God is not just a punisher. God is, for his people, we aren't punished. We are corrected. It's a big, big difference. God will act as judge one day to the world, and he will punish. There will be a punitive sense to God's justice. But for his people, Jesus was punished instead of me. So even though God can take me to the woodshed and does, that is not punishment. He never punishes me. He never gets back at me. Instead, everything he does is to train me as a son, that my heart will be towards him in love, that I will behave appropriately, that I will not act like a ninny. So, so God is at work in you if you are his to shape you, to form you, to knock the rough edges off of you. And that is done in discipline. And discipline is not punishment. These are different concepts. To discipline like a disciple as a student is to train like a coach. A coach is not a punisher. You might think he is, but a coach's work in your life is to train you towards some skill that you're lacking at the present. And God does that. And God does that in his family. And he does that here. He's doing it with his people. And remember, Miriam decided to be very public. She wanted everybody to know what she had to say. And so God was very public in how he executed discipline. For a person publicly to thwart God, there is a public humiliation. For a person who quickly recognizes their sin and asks for forgiveness, God is treating with you personally, privately. But if you were to be so audacious that you want to parade your mouth, run your mouth in public, well, then your humiliation is going to be in public. If my sin before God is in my deep heart and in my private thoughts, God will rebuke me quietly in my thoughts, in my heart, and I can make corrections there. But to be so audacious as she was, it cost her, and it cost her some standing, because everybody saw that God humbled her. And everyone saw, too, that Moses was further exalted, that God had exalted Moses, even as he put down Miriam. So there's for the day. I always want God to use his word to treat me where I need it. Where I need to be corrected, I want him to correct. Where I need to be forgiving, where I'm a racist, where I'm a wrong thinker because of my culture, my society, and my upbringing, in whatever way that I'm wrong, I beg God to change my mind about these things, and let his word do that in our hearts. Where we see our sin, confess it, get rid of it, run from it. And where we see our arrogance, take warning from Miriam, because it happens to us as well. And so I'll leave you with that and pray for you, and hope that you're having a great time with your families. And I will talk to you tomorrow.